Shalom, everybody, and may the peace of our King be upon you. Very few of us know of the peace, especially if you're of the 144,000 or the righteous ones that Enoch speaks about. What I want to do here is to cry out for judgment, and this is the best way that I know how to do it, is to put these felonies in your own hand, okay? So you can see, that what I've been saying all this time isn't a bunch of BS. As you can see up here, this is a forwarded, a third notice and claim of your personal liabilities that I was writing to all these governmental officials and such, requiring an investigation be done on known felonies. Okay, now this here is a document that I had sent out. You can see the times, the dates, the phone number I sent it to, all that. And what this was sent to was this fella right here, Senator Ted Cruz. And he had me fill out this form wherein I showed him here that, it says right straight out, I'm homeless now due to hate crimes. I'm elderly disabled. Talked about my my VA claim or whatever, and it says I was honorably discharged in 1981. I served this country. Okay, I actually did that. I served this country, and I had some of my blood spilled on foreign grounds, but they still won't even allow me to be in the VFW or the vets clubs or anything else because of the time that I served. It wasn't officially during war, but I still had my blood spilt in the service of this country through injuries that I sustained, while in the military. Now, on this cover sheet that I sent Ted Cruz, your senator, if you're in Texas, I sent him out this here, and I'll read what the very first top part here says, just to, prime the pump here to show you that the movies you watch on television or in the movie theater and such, they're all propaganda. They make you think that you got justice, that you have a way that you can, if you've been acted against, if there's been felonies or crimes committed against you, that you have some sort of avenue to be made whole. And that may be so with most people, but Enoch spoke about me, about the righteous ones specifically, and I know that he was speaking of me because these very things are what's taking place, and you can see it. Read, the book of Enoch, chapters 100 through 108, and you'll see that many of the things that I'll tell you right here in this one paragraph have been taking place, and it shows that Enoch spoken of me, and says there's going to be an investigation. Now, I've been trying to do it. You can see up here in this email, this was even from March 24th, 2017, and that's about when I was starting to slow down, even trying to notify these people, because nobody was answering. Ted Cruz never gave me a response or a reply, but listen to what it says here. It says, cover sheet letter 4, release from pursuant the Privacy Act of 1974 to authorize you to take action on the information that I disclosed to you concerning commission felonies as required by Title 18 U.S.C. subsection 4, misprision of felony, which I'll show you what that law is here shortly in this email that I sent out. 3 notices to all these agencies, and I did get, these a couple automated responses, and that's why I brought this one up here, because it shows it's the response center at the governor's office here of Texas, or there of Texas. But anyway, what it says here is, you concerning known commission felonies is required by Title 18 U.S.C. This is on February 8th, 2017. I sent you an email to casework@cruz.senate.gov at 1:52 p.m. with subject line forward, second notice and claiming your personal liabilities by neglect of Title 18 U.S.C. subsection 4, misprision of felony. Please act or take action now, for which I require and wish that you take immediate action and launch an immediate investigation that I may be made whole. Remedy is not allowed here in Texas, nor the Constitution, Bill of Rights, rules, regulations, codes, laws, and or etc. upheld or acknowledged, but known conspirators, known and unknown felons, are rewarded for their unconscionable acts, abuse of powers, official oppressions, RICO Act violations, moral turpitudes, and or etc. He never gave me a response or a reply on this because he knows what was true. Now, they had put me into jail. They arrested me falsely under a third-degree felony for retaliation because I wrote a contract. I wrote a bill. And according to contractual law, bill laws, all these kind of things, you know, anything of that sort, it comes under the law that they're negotiable. If something is negotiable, it's not retaliation at all. When you write someone a bill, say you get a bill from the electric company, it's negotiable. If you don't think you owe that amount, you can question them and say, hey, look, I don't believe I owe you this amount, and they have to look into it. Okay, so what I did was I billed John Weeks, who was a circuit court over Taylor, Callahan, and Coleman counties. He thought he owned these places because he was simply acting out what has been going on right from the top of the government all the way down. They know these little things that they do. There's people right now in Taylor County. I would bet money on it that there are people in Taylor County, Callahan County, Shackelford County, Coleman County in Texas, where these men and women don't even know what they're being charged with. They just put you in jail. They tuck you away. They make money from putting you in jail. You don't have to do anything wrong. And I've been whistleblowing about these things. Now, when they put me into jail was on August 25th, and what they did was they put me in my this cell that was air conditioned, and I'm not used to air conditioning. We had one room in my house that I could afford to put air conditioning in, but it only brought the temperature down maybe 10 or 15 degrees what the ambient temperature was outside. Okay, so there was very little comfort in it. Now, when they put me in this jail cell, I think the temperature was down around 45 or 50, you know. It was like walking into a refrigerator. And they had me in there in my socks and my underwear. There was nothing there except for a toilet and toilet paper. And for me to try to stay a little warm, I coated the toilet seat with toilet paper to keep from freezing my butt to sit on, but I was shivering. And they kept me in there for well over 24 hours. I'm thinking more like almost 2 days or whatever. They kept me in there. And I walked around and round and round and round in circles. It's all I could do, trying to stay warm because I was freezing. And I'm watching them, you know, bring in these other people, and, you know, they were given clothes, and they were put into a cell with mattresses, you know, and they got blankets and everything. They wouldn't give me a blanket or nothing, man. I'm freezing my butt off. They're torturing me. I mean, everything in there's cement, and when it's cold, you sit down in boxer shorts, you know. I mean, there's no insulation from that freezing cement, you know, so they was torturing me. So anyway, the very same day they had arrested me, I had wrote them this here form that they tried to, you know, tell me was like for complaints or whatever, but I don't have complaints, I have claims. And what I wrote them here, I said, I require adult protection services to be notified as I did not get to use my one phone call. Okay, everybody says, oh, you get your first phone call. Baloney, man, you know. It depends on who you are. Okay, that's what matters. And it says, I need the protective adult services to come protect me from this torture taking place and before my heart goes out. Now, they took me off my supplements and stuff. See, I self-govern, and I don't use the potions and things of the sorcerers, the doctors and such. I don't have to self-medicate with their drugs. What I use is simple things you may have around your home, or you can easily get them, you know, to keep your health where it needs to be. that's what I was doing. But then they took me away from my world, where I was taking care of this holy temple. They put me into a place where they wanted to poison me. They was torturing me. Now, the 26th, I believe I also wrote a letter, but here on the 27th, it's a bad copy. I mean, this is what they had given me to go out with, okay? But it was Saturday, Sabbath, August 27th. And they punished me later for keeping the Sabbath, okay? They turned off my television and stuff. But they also answer here, as you can see down there, 8/31/16, okay? But I wrote this on August 27th. And I said I had a heart attack last night, which gave avenue for some sleep otherwise not possible during torture. My heart is out of whack and skips beats. Either get me to a hospital or call the judge to come down and chop off my head. Shoot me or kill me privately, Rev. Al-Yahnai Hawkins. Now, that was on the 27th. On the 28th here, I wrote another claim and notice to them, as you can see right there. This is from August 28th. And here I told them, I said, I have had 2 more heart attacks since the first notification to whoever these forms go to, of the one that caused me to be put into this room out of the uttermost torture chamber. Okay, and I guess it may have been like on the 28th or something that they finally put me in this room, the 27th or 20, might have been the 28th. They kept me in there for days, okay, without a mattress, without any kind of, I had my socks on and I had my shorts on, my boxer shorts. That's all I had in this jail. And they're bringing people in and they're looking at me, you know, through the window. I'm almost naked, you know. They had me on display there in their holding cell. Okay? But anyway, I told them, you know, this torture chamber, I have causes, or I have clauses in my negotiable billing to all billed conspirators, and also John Weeks acts as a judge, yet is still a man. That if I am jailed and then I went over to other things. But anyway, I talked about having 2 more heart attacks on August 28th. Well, I had sent these in, and the one that I had first wrote out on August 25th, the head jailer there, she wrote me the reply down here, and it was on the 31st, because it took him until the 31st. Well, anyway, it says, he made a phone call 8/31, okay, on 8/31/2016. When he came in, he wanted to save it for later. Hell no, I didn't want to save it till later. I wanted my buddy Larry to go over to my trailer my church, before they burned it down. I had $5,000 cash left from my inheritance, okay, from my parents' death, and I wanted him to get my money and come and bail me out, but they wouldn't give me a phone call. But anyway, on August 31st also is when they finally did send in, it says right here, this was from the August 27th that I wrote telling them I believe I had a heart attack. You can see here when they finally let me out right here, or actually got me some medical assistance. Now, I don't know anybody that this is allowed. This is malpractice, you know. If a doctor knows about these things and won't even see you for that amount of time having these kind of problems, and yet I'm in jail. They took away all my rights. I never signed a thing. I didn't give them authority for me to be warehoused in their torture chambers or anything else. But the woman says here, have advised Callahan County, you were checked by EMS on 8/31/2016. You did not have a heart attack. Well, because I didn't have a heart attack doesn't mean that I didn't need to be checked out, because when they did the readings, they found out my heart was way out of whack, and they said, you know, the man does need to go, you know, to the hospital, and they refused to let me leave. Okay, so they show on record that they do administer certain things as they're required by law, but from from August 25th until August 31st to finally be seen after I put in day after day. Look, my heart, I'm having these problems. You're starving me to death. You're torturing me. This, that, the other thing. And finally, on the 31st, they did send in a team to check me out. They had all the readings and said my heart was screwed, man, because they had me off my supplications, okay, my supplements that I normally take. I take curcumin and I take Ikonia Kava extract for my heart. But anyway, I was writing and trying to get an investigation into these things. They falsely arrested me. I spoke of other videos and such, where the man that they recruited, who acts as a justice of the peace, who only had authority up to a Class C misdemeanor, what he did was he had me arrested on a third-degree felony. And he promptly had me put in jail on a $30,000 bond that he only had jurisdiction up to issuing a $10,000 bond. Okay, now, after I was released from jail, after a man from Colorado came that Larry finally got a hold of, and the fella, the bondsman, he couldn't believe what he was hearing about me, so he came from Colorado to see if what was being done was true. And he got me out on the 44th day of my being starved. And I billed him, all these jailers all the way up to the governor, okay, Greg Abbott and above, for the attempted murder of me, for trying to suicide me. Okay, and I billed them. Now, I've sent out these here notices, and I'm going to show you that I reported all these felonies to these individuals, and I never got a reply except from a couple automated, but I've never had anybody inquire of these things. Now, President Trump talks about how he's going to drain the swamp. You got to start it out by the bottom. You shouldn't drain the swamp by the top. It should be out by the bottom. And I've got a whole bunch of bottom feeders here, that I pray that once they are judged, when they're put into prison, wherever they need to be, for what they've done against not just me, but the people, against the laws and everything that they had swore they would uphold and protect as these elected officials. And they did not keep their office. They abused their office. Let me show you this here email that I spoke about many times, and I'll show you how even YouTube helps to obstruct justice. And they get away with it. And it's right here in this email. I'll show you. Watch this. Okay, for instance, here we are. This is the NCJRS, okay, which is the for the governor's office here. This is the response center. I had sent out my third claim here. You can see this is the third notice. I sent it out on March 10th, 2017. And what I did was I was telling them, it's for your personal liabilities, and I'm offering this $100,000 reward or $10,000 bounty offer for justice. Now down here it shows. Let me click on this link and I'll show you what YouTube did with this, because I sent this out to all these agencies and these individuals. Can you see all these things? We're talking Reporter News, we're talking CBS News, we're talking Webmaster at Court State, Texas. We've got all different public affairs. We've got down here, the Marshal's Office, United States Marshal's Office. You find everybody in here. All right? I mean, there's all kinds of individuals in here that should have done something. Now, when you click on this link that's in this, and I'll send this email to anybody that's interested, but you need to notify the authorities of these things to get an investigation going. Now, as you see, this is the YouTube link that came directly from there. And what? This video has been removed for violating YouTube's terms of service. Yes, if you stand up for justice, if you cry out for judgment, they don't want no part of it, because you're supposed to be, owned by these cruel and wicked taskmasters that want you to make, bricks without straw. Now, in the reply that I had gotten originally was from the response center here, and it says, "Dear Sir or Madam, the National Criminal Justice Reference Service. So you see, I'm reporting this to law enforcement agencies and such, and it says, has received your request and is currently being processed. You should receive a response from an information specialist within 1 working day, depending on the complexity of your request. Now, because of the complexity of this request, I sat on that email from when it came in, Friday, March 10th, 2017, and here I had sent out, on March 24th, Friday, March 24th. So we're talking 14 days later. I figure I gave them enough time, so I write them back. And I say, greetings, I am Rev. Al-Yahnai Hawkins, and I was wondering if you were going to reply or give a response. An investigation or to chop off my head would be best. Peace, Rev. Al-Yahnai Hawkins. I'm telling them, hey man, go ahead. So what do they do in response? They send the very same response out telling me these things. They've never got back with me since. Okay, now, all those addresses I sent it, that was, and then my second time I had sent out, that was the third one. This here's the second one where I show it's a notice and claiming your personal liabilities by neglect. Please read the attachment for ultimate purpose of this matter at hand. And I tell them right straight down in here again, you may be neglecting Title 18. Anyway, this was an email I got. I'll show you. It came from my ex. And she says, you keep accusing me of burning down your church domicile. See, they stole the property to give to her so that she could sell it to Bill Hawkins. That's why they robbed me to begin with. Bill Hawkins, I had this piece of property that was in the middle of his kingdom on 254 of Clyde, Texas, County Road 254. And it was right in the middle of all the property he acquired from all the tithes from lying to his people. Anyway, she writes that, you keep accusing me of burning down your church domicile. I'm not the one who wanted the evidence destroyed. So you can see she was a conspirator in this because she knows who wanted the evidence destroyed. That's why they burned me out. But then I write, and I said, because of this, I have appealed to Greg Abbott, who acts as the elected governor of the state of Texas, and I require that my head lawfully, legally gets chopped off, or some other agreeable avenue of sparing me of further felonies to come against me for doing what is right by those who commit wrongs with rewards for doing so. That I be acquitted and granted remedies for the documented frauds, aggravated perjuries, abuses of power, obstructions of justice, RICO Act violations, hate crimes, and etc. that are prima facie evidence in many court of records. That an investigation in these matters ensues immediately, so on and so forth. I even tell them down here, it says, and ask them what they intend to do about it. As stated, I am more than willing to have my homeless head chopped off publicly. Tickets being sold to watch and all proceeds be given to those less blessed than we are. I offered them my own damn head to be chopped off to get me out of this torturous situation of this everyday life I'm still living. Yes, I'm living this life, and I tell them, when you get this email, forward it to one of these. Forward it to all of these. U.S. Marshal, the Rangers, Texas Rangers. Send it off to the Department of Justice here, the Attorney General. Send it off to one of them and report these things are going on. Would they do? Nothing. Here's the original that I sent, okay? This is the cover sheet. Down in here it explains, and I'm going to go through it quickly, but you can see here, this was my ex here, and I'd like to show her picture again because she's a very, very attractive woman, is exactly what she is. She's very, very attractive, and she attracts all kinds of this riffraff that just want to bend over backwards because they're sniffing her skirt, and they would rather help her to ruin me than to administer justice or judgment or even, some similitude of it. They refuse to even answer because they're protecting her, they're protecting the judges, they're protecting the sheriffs, they're protecting the governor, they're protecting everybody, all the dregs that are in the swamps that, President Trump says that he's going to drain. Well, we have to see if he will. But this was on Saturday, November 5th, 2016, 3:17 a.m. She sent it to me. Here's my email address. I'll send this letter off to anyone who wants it. But in here, up here she's just gloating, that she was awarded my property not even from a court, okay? They burned me out. They think they can steal my property, even though it's still in the courts. That I had paid for the property. She originally, her and her parents stole it from me. I got it awarded back to me in a court. And then by throwing me in jail, thinking they're going to murder me, burning me out, they figured that they would get this back because even in the divorce decree, I was awarded the property. And it says here, you keep accusing me of burning down your church domicile. And I did the boldness of this and heightening of the letters to make it stick out so they could see. It says, I'm not the one who wanted the evidence destroyed. Everyone knows you weren't growing daffodils. So what's that mean? Well, up here in New York even, I get here and I find out that I'm growing pot and everything else is what's going on, they say. So there's quite a bit of these rumors going around. Whether they're true or not, it doesn't matter. I broke no laws, okay? But anyway, this federal crime reporting statute, this is a federal statute. You've seen all the people here that I've sent this out to. This is a federal statute that all of these individuals, everyone in these offices that received anything from me, all of these are liable. They're liable for breaking this federal statute that none of them will uphold. I'm still a pauper. I still have no vehicle. They burn me out. Church hate crimes, everything. They burn me out. And what's it say? Federal Crime Reporting Statute. Title 18 U.S.C. Subsection 4, misprison of felony. Whoever having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals and does not as soon as possible make known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority. Now, I've gone to the military about this, and I've got no response from them either. Under the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. So everybody that I have told about this that has not done anything is liable to be put into the prison for 3 years or both. They should be at least up to 3 years, but they're protecting these people, okay? The authorities are protecting one another. It says, a federal judge or any other government official is required as part of the judge's mandatory administrative duties to receive any offer of information of a federal crime. That's what this here entire thing is. It's an offer of information of federal crimes, not just a crime, but federal crimes. A burning of a church for hatred is a federal crime. Says if that judge blocks such report, that block is a felony under related obstruction of justice statutes and constitutes a serious offense. But it's not a serious offense if they don't do nothing. If they hide it, it's still a serious offense, but there's nothing going to be done. And it says, upon receiving such information, the judge is then required to make it known to a government law enforcement body that is not themselves involved in the federal crime. Okay, so they know that they've been doing these things, and you know, the judge isn't supposed to give it to someone that's involved with that particular crime. You know, I mean, if he's involved with other federal crimes, he can look at the one that he's not involved in. Here it says misprision of a felony. Misprision of a felony is the offense of failure to inform government authorities of a felony that a person knows about. So if I didn't report this, then I would also be guilty of a misprision of felony because I kept it hidden. I haven't done that. I'm not guilty of covering up these felonies. So as a person commits the crime of a misprision of felony if that person knows of a federal crime that the person has witnessed or that has come to the person's attention or failed to prevent, fails to report it to a federal judge or other federal official who is not themselves involved in the crime. You can see they knew these things are going on from the beginning of time. They've been doing these. And I'm a whistleblower saying, wake up, people. Tell someone about this. Cry out for judgment that Enoch said. Get these things out. If you got the president's email, send it to him, okay? Furthering, another federal statute for forcing a federal officer to perform a mandatory duty. Another federal statute exists for reporting high-level corruption in government. And here's Title 28 U.S.C. 1361. Action to compel an officer of the United States to perform his duty. Now, I'm informing all these people their duties, and they're ignoring me. They've done nothing. I've got no response other than these automated replies where they promise me they'll get back, and they never have. Ted Cruz is one of them. It says a district court shall have original jurisdiction of any action in the nature of mandamus to compel an officer or employee of the United States or any agency thereof to perform a duty owed to the plaintiff. Okay, and that's me. This federal statute permits any citizen to file a lawsuit in federal courts to obtain a court order requiring a federal official to perform a mandatory duty and to halt unlawful acts. This statute is Title 28 U.S.C. 1361. These two statutes are among the most powerful tools in the hands of the people. Even a single person to report corrupt and criminal activities by federal officials, including federal judges, and to circumvent the blocks by those in key positions in the three branches of government. The statute was also reportedly blocked by federal judges and justices of the U.S. Supreme Court. It tells you all these different things. It lets you know that they know. That's why they wrote these laws, is to protect them while they're breaking them. And I go on, I discuss all these things about 600 Virgil Street. I explain all these things to Greg Abbott, the governor, and everybody else. And I tell them, it says, whether by chopping off my head or to sell tickets for 21 men or women to perform a public firing squad, all pursuits that are feed the less blessed than most, or, okay, so I'm telling them, hey man, go ahead, chop off my damn head, get me out of this torture, you know. Down here in my signature block, I show, it says burned down in a hate crime by conspirators. Through my mailbox, there's all my mailbox, post and all have been robbed. Post office holds my mail now. Though I am under threat not to step foot on my property, ordered and decreed to be my property in cause number 29645, robbed by fraudulent judgment in cause number 2731, I pray the dumpster I may be living in now is not discovered. So anyway, as you see, I have warned these people. I wrote them of so many felonies. I challenged their jurisdiction. Everything I've done, everything I said is totally ignored. But here it talks in 1 Kepha 2:11, and yes, I do write these things so that they understand what's going on. It says, Beloved, I beg you as sojourners and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust which war against the soul, having your conduct honorable among the Gentiles, that when they speak against you as evildoers, which they've done, they may, by your righteous works, which they observe, glorify Yahweh in the day of visitation. Therefore submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the king's sake. I've done this, whether to the king as supreme, or to governors. I've appealed to them. You can see in this email here alone, I've wrote to governors, as to those who are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers and for the praise of those who do righteously. For this is the will of Yahweh, that by doing right you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. Well, I certainly put to silence foolish men because they won't even acknowledge what's going on yet. That's what I'm crying out for judgment for, and I'm asking you to help. It says, as free, yet not using liberty as a cloak for vice, but as bondservants of Yahweh, honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear Yahweh, and honor the king. And that's what I'm hoping you'll do. Look at all these individuals. Every one of these are supposed to be in prison right now because they refused the information of all these felonies that I sent them. Okay? And like I say, I want my head chopped off publicly. It don't matter. Up here I tell them again, because of this I've appealed to Greg Abbott, who acts as elected governor of the state of Texas. And I require that my head lawfully and legally gets chopped off, or some other agreeable avenue of sparing me of further felonies to come against me for doing what is right by those who commit wrongs, with rewards for doing so. And I talk of these RICO violations, obstructions, all these things, and I disclose it in these emails and everywhere else. I even went to offer a $100,000 reward or a $10,000 bounty for justice to be given to me for an investigation to take place. So what's YouTube do and conspiracy with the rest of these fellas? They didn't take it down on their own. You know, they got notification. Oh, shit, you better take that thing down, man. People are going to look, and they're going to notice that there isn't any justice. This is a nation of laws, you know, that are against the people and for the politicians. You know, for the most part, like Ted Cruz and the others, they're arms dealers and they're drug dealers. That's what these politicians are. Take a look. I mean, some of the biggest problems we're having right now, there's a billion-dollar deal, multi-billion-dollar deal with arms that America's worried it's going to get, you know, shafted on and go to some other country to be able to sell to our enemies. You know, billions of dollars worth of arms. They're arms dealers. They're drug dealers. And for justice to come about, you're going to have to cry out. You know, I'm asking you to do so because Enoch said there's going to be an investigation that's going to be done. This is my cry out for judgment. Please pass it on to anyone in your city, in your town. Send it to the courts, you know, where you're at, you know, a federal court. If there's a federal court in your land, send them a copy, you know, or forward it to them. Forward it to your local law enforcement agencies. If you got a military base that's in your state next to you, send them a copy of this and say, look, you know, I was told about these felonies going on. I've been now made aware of them. And I'm supposed to report it to you. What are you going to do about it? Will you investigate this fellow? Will you allow him to have some of the rights that those in America claim that they enjoy? This man's property been bulldozed, been burned a couple times, had a Trojan one time on top of a church that he had. Never given notification that they was coming or anything. They just bulldoze, they burn and everything else. They throw him in jail, starve him. Try to murder them, you know. They did murder me. It was in their hearts. For 44 days, they starved me. Have y'all had such treatment? Welcome to America. I've been told so many times, you don't like to hear move, you know. Well, I can understand where they're coming from because some of these people, you know, just like my ex, when she would write and say that I was sexually abusing my children. And I had to send them to doctors and such, you know, to find out they're still virgins and such, you know, and that what they said was false, but people can file all kinds of false reports and stuff and make my life hell, and that's what they done. And there's no recourse, you know, against those that do that. It's crying shame, people. You know, this is why our king's coming, and this is why he's going to kick some ass. And he's going to take over these governments, but he's going to set it up in such a way that a lot of it's already going to be set up for when he comes. And that's because of the jobs that the 144,000 is going to be afforded to do. And it's, you know, we're going to have a lot of things set up for when he gets here, is what's going to take place. I need to be given judgment. We have to have judgment come before our king will return. So the more we're silent, the longer it's going to take for him to return. And this message that I preach, you know, whether it's by my mouth or, you know, another of the 144,000 or those that hear, this message of salvation needs to be preached to the entire world before our king returns. So please, let's jump on the bandwagon. You know, I mean, inform people what's going on. I've got all the evidence in the world. It's in the court records of these known felons that have been abusing, obstructing justice. You know, they've been using their offices to hurt people. They've been tearing down on the morality of the world. Look at the crimes that are taking place. Things that used to be criminal actions are now smiled upon and rejoiced over, and it's horrible. You know, so let's step up to the plate, people. If you say that you're of our Heavenly Father, if you say that you reverence the King, and you hear of injustice being done, you know, even that Section 18 there, or Title 18 of the USC, they devise many of these laws in accordance with that which are laws in the Holy Scripture. And one of them is, if you know of an injustice that's taken place, you are to speak out about it. You're not to hold your peace. No, it's not peace to withhold, you know, evidence that can vindicate somebody, that could acquire someone, you know, a pardon and an acquittal for not doing something. And if you're going to be silent about it, well, you're just as guilty as the rest of them. I'm sorry to say that. But, you know, if you go out there and you start telling people, you know, I'm not going to hold you liable, and I don't believe our king will either. Just let people know what's going on. I'm one of the 144,000 Enoch spoke about. Whether you have hand in this or not doesn't matter. It's going to come about, and our king knows what your reward's going to be. I just hope that it's going to be a great one. Now, I do love you all. I hate what you do. If you're not repenting, if you're repenting, then I love everything you do, okay? Even the sins that you do, that you screw up on and repent of, I love that it came about. I hate the sin, but I love it came about so you could realize, you know, and repent from what you did and become a better person. I love y'all, and let's cry out for judgment. Cry out for judgment. I mean, look at these things that are taking place. And, of course, it's just me, you know. You don't know anybody else that this is taking place with, so that should mean something. Read Enoch, chapters 100 through 108. You'll see a lot about me there. You know, it talks about me. It talks about the righteous ones that our king refers to as 144,000, the very elect, the chosen ones, the ones he chose. That's why he calls them the chosen ones. He chose us to go through this hell called life to see what you're going to do about it. I hope you do right. Shalom. Thank you, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. If you do put in some more sealed indictments, there's plenty here, you know. There's hundreds and hundreds you can make up just from mine. You got 57,000 sealed indictments right now, from what I understand, maybe a little more than that. Out of all the people on, you know, this planet, this earth, 57,000? Well, there's probably another 1,000 or so right here against me alone that you could write up. You make a lot of money off those fellas being put in prison or whatever, you know, just like they made from doing it to me for no cause at all. I have no cause against me. I've only done right. And I haven't shot nobody. I haven't burned nobody out. I haven't bulldozed nobody. You know, I didn't pull out my SKS 57 that I had, or 56, whatever it was. When they came and bulldozed me the first time, having a unlawful demolition order for even a wrong property. You know, the order was for 600 Virgil. They bulldozed me at 700 Virgil. And then they tried to put me in prison because I billed them. and they misappropriated public funds, and I proved it. It's in the court. It's still proved, okay? Everything's there. They've got the transcripts. They've got everything. You know, they burned up the evidence I had, but these things are still filed in the court. All you got to do is investigate. You know, somebody read the records, and you'll see that everything is right there. It doesn't take much investigation. All it takes is a little action. You know, send somebody down. You'll make a lot of money off this. I need to be made whole so I can help my Father's people. Let our people go. That's what our Father's crying out through his Son. Let our people go. Moshe had a similar message. And I love y'all. Mr. Trump, may you be blessed. Our Heavenly Father had put you in that office that is through his Son now. You're there for a specific purpose. Don't be, you know, a Nebuchadnezzar now. You don't want to be growing your fingernails so long and everything, eating grass for 7 years because you want to be proud or anything. Do what you said you're going to do is all I ask. Just do what you say you're going to do. Drain the swamp. Start out from the bottom. I've got hundreds of bottom feeders all set up for you. They're all there, sitting ducks, okay? And they asked for it, and I warned them, and I begged them not to do it. All throughout the court cases, I begged them not to do what they were doing because they were doing it against our king by doing it against me. So now we just wait, Mr. Trump, and see what you'll do. But I love y'all. I really do. I hope America will be strong, but it's going to fall by the looks of things. You know, unless we take the proper steps and precautions, it's going to come crumbling down around our ears. But there are those that'll be protected. Even though there's fire, you know, 1,000 will fall by our side and 10,000 at our right hand. But it will not come near you, righteous saints of Yahweh. Now Yahshua. And I love y'all. May there be peace one day soon and our King return. Cry out for judgment. Judgment's got to come. And then our King will return. Shalom.